Welcome to ZoomInData, your go-to channel for in-depth Azure Cloud, Serverless, and modern development interview preparation. In this video, we dive deep into the top 25 Azure Functions app fundamentals interview questions for 2026. Perfect for developers, architects, and anyone preparing for AZ-204 certification or Azure Serverless roles. We cover function app structure, host, JSON configurations, app settings, runtime versions, scaling, singleton mode, diagnostics, deployment options, worker processes, isolated model, troubleshooting, and best practices, all explained in clear, interview-ready technical language to help you confidently ace your next interview. 1. What is a function app? A function app is the container and execution environment that hosts one or more Azure functions in the same region and resource group. It defines shared configuration, scaling behavior, runtime version, and deployment settings for all functions within it. Represents the unit of deployment, management, monitoring, and billing in Azure Functions. Supports multiple hosting plans, consumption, premium, dedicated, and integrates with application insights for telemetry. 2. Explain the structure of a function app. Host, JSON, local, settings, JSON. Host, JSON configures global function behavior including extensions, logging, concurrency, and health monitoring at the app level. Local, settings, JSON stores local development configuration like connection strings, app settings, and environment variables, not deployed. Function folders contain individual function code, function, JSON, for v3 and earlier, and language-specific files, e.g., .csx, JS. The root includes extensions, CS project, JSON for binding extensions and optional proxies, JSON, legacy. 3. What is host? JSON and what configurations does it support? Host, JSON is the global configuration file controlling function app behavior across all functions. Supports settings for logging, level, filters, extensions, bundles, health monitoring, ping, and concurrency limits. Configures singleton locks, custom handlers, and function timeout for consumption plan. Allows extension bundle version pinning and managed dependency settings. 4. How do app settings differ between local and Azure environments? Local settings. JSON stores values for local development under values, object, never deployed to Azure. Azure app settings configured in portal, CLI under configuration, application settings, stored securely in Azure. Local values override Azure during func start for seamless development. Sensitive values in local settings. JSON marked is encrypted. Azure supports slot-specific and key vault references. 5. What are runtime versions and how do you pin them? Runtime versions, ~1, ~2, ~3, ~4, correspond to major releases with different .NET support and features. ~4 is current, 2026, with .NET 8 isolated worker standard and enhanced performance. Pinning via functions _extension _version in app settings, ~4, or specific version, 4.0.0. Major version, ensures automatic minor, patch updates, exact version locks for stability. 6. Explain function level versus app level settings. App level settings in host. JSON or app settings apply to all functions in the function app. Function level settings in function, JSON, v3, or attributes override app level for specific functions. Common app level, logging, concurrency, function level, trigger specific, root, auth level. App settings override host, JSON for environment specific configuration. 7. How do you manage connection strings in a function app? Connection strings stored in app settings with prefix, SQL Azure conster underscore, MySQL CONNSTR for binding recognition. Local connections in local settings, JSON under, connection strings, object. Azure supports key vault references for secure management without plaintext storage. Bindings automatically resolve prefixed strings without explicit code. 8. What is the role of the -1 runtime version? -1 refers to the original v1 runtime supporting only .NET Framework and limited extensions. Automatically resolves to latest patch in version 1 series. Deprecated since 2022. Used for legacy migration but not recommended for new development. v2+, -2, -3, -4, provide .NET Core, .NET 6/8, broader language support, and performance improvements. 9. How do you configure function app scaling behavior? Scaling controlled by hosting plan. Consumption auto-scales based on triggers. Premium maintains minimum instances. App-level concurrency via host. JSON. Max concurrent calls. Functions worker process count. Website _max _dynamic _application _scale _out limits maximum instances. Premium plan elastic scale and pre-warmed instances customize scaling curve. 10. Explain singleton mode in function apps. Singleton mode ensures only one instance processes events for singleton compatible triggers. HTTP. Service bus. Configured via host. JSON, singleton, section with lock period and listener lock recovery. Prevents concurrent processing of same messages, events across scaled instances. Critical for stateful operations or to avoid duplicate processing. 11. How do you enable diagnostics in host? JSON. Diagnostics section in host. JSON enables health ping endpoint and failure reporting. Configures health check interval and failure threshold for instance eviction. Supports custom health checks via HTTP ping endpoint. Integrates with Azure Monitor for proactive instance management. 12. What is website _run_ from package? Website _run_ from package enables run from package deployment mode for faster, read-only execution. Value 1 loads from uploaded zip. URL points to external package location. Reduces cold starts and prevents file system conflicts in scaled environments. Recommended for production deployments in consumption, premium plans. 13. How do you configure health checks for function apps? Enable via host. JSON diagnostics section with ping endpoint and failure thresholds. Azure Monitor health checks ping, admin, host, ping for liveness. Custom HTTP health endpoint via code for application-specific checks. Integration with load balancers and traffic manager for routing. 14. Explain the difference between function app and function. Function app is the container-defining runtime, scaling, configuration, and hosting plan. Individual function is a single unit of execution with trigger, bindings, and code. One function app hosts multiple functions sharing resources and settings. Management, deployment, and billing occur at function app level. 15. How do you manage multiple functions in one app? Multiple functions share host, JSON, app settings, and runtime in single function app. Organize by logical grouping, domain, API version, for maintainability. Use function-level function, JSON or attributes for trigger-specific configuration. Monitor individually via function name in Application Insights. 16. What is the Azure Functions runtime script? Runtime script refers to run.csx/run.ps1/run.py etc. for script languages, legacy v1, v2. Defines function entry point and trigger configuration in script files. Modern compiled languages use attributes instead of script files. Still supported for dynamic scripting scenarios. 17. How do you configure logging levels? Logging levels set in host, JSON under logging section with log level and category filters. Default categories: function, host, worker with trace, information, warning, error. Application Insights integration captures structured logs automatically. Environment-specific overrides via app settings. 18. Explain extension bundles in host, JSON. Extension bundles pre-install binding extensions to reduce deployment size and cold starts. Configured with version range 1.4. In host, JSON extension section. Automatically downloads compatible extensions during startup. Recommended over extensions. CS project for most scenarios. 19. How do you handle version upgrades safely? Pin exact runtime version, e.g., 4.25.0, for controlled upgrades. Test in separate staging slot or workspace before production. Monitor for breaking changes in release notes. Use extension bundle ranges that auto-update safely. 20. What is the functions worker process? Worker process hosts language runtime separate from main functions host. Enables isolation, version flexibility, and better resource management. Multiple workers for concurrency, functions_worker_process_count. Isolated model runs worker completely out of process. 21. How do you configure custom handlers? Set functions_worker_runtime to custom in app settings. Define executable path in host, JSON custom handler section. Implement HTTP protocol for request response handling. Supports any language with executable capability. 22. Explain the isolated worker process model. Isolated model runs language worker completely separate from functions host process. Enables running unsupported .NET versions and middleware pipeline. Improves isolation, dependency management, and cold start performance. Standard for .NET 8+ functions, 2026. 23. How do you troubleshoot host startup issues? Check Application Insights for host startup exceptions and dependency failures. Enable detailed tracing via host, JSON logging and diagnostic settings. Review deployment logs in Kudu or Portal for extension loading issues. Validate app settings and host, JSON syntax. 24. How do you configure CORS in host, JSON? Calls configured in host. JSON under HTTP section with allowed origins array. Supports wildcard or specific domains with credentials flag. Pre-flight requests handled automatically. Production recommends specific origins over wildcard. 25. Best practices for host. JSON configuration. Keep host JSON minimal and version controlled. Use app settings for environment-specific values. Enable singleton for stateful triggers. Use extension bundles for faster starts. Configure appropriate logging levels. Information production. Debug local. Set health monitoring and timeouts based on workload patterns. Thank you for watching. If this video helps you prepare for your Azure Functions interview, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your network. Don't forget to subscribe to ZoomInData and hit the bell icon for more in-depth cloud computing, serverless, and Azure interview prep videos every week. Drop your questions or topic requests in the comments. Let's zoom in on your success together.